I'm talking about that goddamn tattoo lady who called in the church trying to set the church up. Let's be very clear before I get too deep into it. We don't know how many church probably did say yes. This is social media. She's doing it for views, clicks, and followers. She could purposely not post in the churches that wants to help. Once again, that's what she could be doing. But hey, I don't care. Let me get deep into it. In other words, did she call the tattoo shop and ask the tattoo shop, hey, I don't spend a lot of money. She put money in the tattoo shop. I spent a lot of money in this tattoo shop. My baby is hungry. I bet you she didn't. Call a bunch of those tattoo shops that she supported and see how much they going to give back. The point I'm trying to make is simply this. No, y'all ain't obligated because y'all do not like the church. Y'all ain't obligated. Y'all is not given to the church. Y'all ain't obligated because y'all don't even like church people.
Wait. It's absolutely absurd.
I'm done. I'm over it.
Hey, welcome back to Themis and Thought. Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get that. Sorry, I am not on screen right now. I tried, I really do, but I look like death. So, I'm still going to make this video because it's a Tuesday morning take and you all need this, right? All right, no more introduction. Let's get right into the video. There's this lady going viral on TikTok for calling churches, trying to get baby formula for a fake baby that is crying in the background, and a bunch of churches are saying no. There's a mosque that said yes, and a couple of churches said yes, but overwhelmingly the churches did not have anything to give and did not seem to care or want to help. So, for this video, I want to talk about the kind of project that she attempted to do, talk about the social experiment, what we can glean from it. And this would not be a video. I would not be talking about this at all, but for the pastors coming out to speak. And by pastors, I don't know why I make that plural when there is only one that I care about. But we'll get there in time. And no, it is not just a drag of the church. So let's listen to what this lady did, and then we'll come back.
See if they would help feed a starving baby.
Living Faith Christian Center.
Hi, yes. I was wanting to see if y'all could help with baby formula at all. I have a 2-month-old and she ran out last night, so I just need like a small can because she's gone all day and all night.
What about? I don't understand. You have need for what, ma'am? Now.
I was wanting to see if you all could help with a small can of formula for a baby.
Small can of formula for a baby. Hold on, let me see if Julia's available. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
This is Julia. How can I help you?
Hi. I was wanting to see if y'all could help with a small can of baby formula. I have a 2-month-old and she's been out since last night, so she's gone all night and all day without anything to eat.
We don't have any formula around, darling. I'm sorry. None. No diapers, anything for babies. We don't have any.
Could that be something you all could get and I could just pick it up?
No, we can't right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks.
After seeing a bunch of those, the response, the comments, the social media going on, I kind of stepped out. There is no reason to engage with any of this. It's not significant, it's not impactful, and it is not research, right? There is a lot of groundwork that this lady would have to do to make it generalizable or informative at all. If you are here because you want me to quote unquote drag the churches and Christianity, come back another time. And the reason is, or wait till later. The reason is the experiment being ran here is without basis. It has no generalizability. It has nothing that we can glean to insofar as to project onto a large group of churches or even Christians. And I know that's unsatisfactory, but because you agree with the position, which is her position, maybe that churches aren't helpful, then we shut off for critical thinking and then we just go into dragging the church. This is a bad look. But this is only a bad look for specific churches within a kind of very specific niche that were called on that phone. Here's why. This is a dishonest test. And I'm not saying the lady is being dishonest. I think she is doing what she believes to be a really good social experiment. And if done properly, this could be a really good social experiment. But now, is it proper to call a church like this for help in this way? The answer to that is it does not matter. That they don't have a baby formula on hand does not matter. If the Spirit of God, if it's generosity that we expect from these churches, then they should show up, right? The issue is that there are many variables as to why she could not have gotten help in this very moment. It could be that the person who answered the phone is not as resourceful as they should be. And so, in the absence of baby formula at the church, instead of offering help in some other way, offering to buy and then getting reimbursed from the church, figuring out how the church could actually help, that person being lazy just decide to punt the call, right? It could be that that church is actually trash and they did not want to help. It could be from our view that we are biased either for or against the church, and so we are fighting to make our conclusion a reality, right? If you want to dunk on Christians, this is not the way to do it. The pastors and a specific pastor's response is a great way to do it, and we're going to get there in a moment. But on its own, this social experiment fails to meet the basic criteria for any kind of generalizability for any kind of research. And I think on the most fundamental level, it's not generalizable because the sample size is way too small. How many churches were called and what was being recorded, we are not sure. How many people actually said yes versus how many people say no, we are not sure. Was it standardized in a way that could make us glean some kind of result from the test? No, we don't know enough to make this a kind of test that results in a conclusion about Christianity broadly. Now, what we can do is drag the individual churches that she called. Again, I don't think because you either agree with her, disagree with her, it means you should remove your critical thinking in the analysis that you do. I don't think that is fair, and I don't think that is right. However, what we do know is some of the responses, they're a problem. And I would not be making this video if all we saw was this lady doing what she's doing and the church is getting dragged. I wouldn't care nothing about it. It is the pastor who responded and is actually incorrect in their response, and the young people who would respond to her and are also incorrect. So, what I would expect from a church is after they failed a test, where a person reaches out to them for help and they did not provide the help that is needed because they did not have the resources to provide the help that was needed, I would expect that church to apologize publicly after being shamed publicly and make sure that it never happened again. If you don't have baby formula, you realize this is something that people might need, maybe start allocating funds to helping people in the community in the way that the people in the community needs help. I would expect a prompt apology and a means of doing better from the church to serve the community that you are supposed to serve, right? But we're going to build up to the pastor that I really dislike, their response. But before we do that, let's get to this young lady that I opened with and her response. Let's get to her, and I'm going to address her. I'm going to address two other people, and then we'll get to the pastor.
I'm not afraid of y'all, and I'm still standing on what I'm saying. And I'm going to tag you since you want to keep coming back and forth. So I'm just going to make one final video, and hopefully this is this. And I am talking about that goddamn tattoo lady who called in the church trying to set the church up. Let's be very clear before I get too deep into it. We don't know how many church probably did say yes. This is social media. She's doing it for views, clicks, and followers. She could.
This is social media. She could be doing it for these reasons. To say definitively and then to point out her tattoos is weirdly specific for someone who claim themselves to be a Christian. This feels very evil and underhanded, and it lacks any kind of spirit of Christianity from my perspective. I'm not speaking as the gatekeeper for Christians. I'm a baby Christian as we speak. And so I really abhor her response because it has absolutely nothing but vengeance. All I hear from her is vengeance at something that had nothing to do with her.
Purposely not posting the churches that wants to help. Once again, that's what she could be doing. But hey, I don't care. Let me get deep into it, right? Because you want to say to me, well, Jesus don't ask who is saved. He just blesses everyone. Anyone that got blessed by Jesus, they was in his surroundings. Anyone that got blessed by Jesus, they was in the vicinity. They was somewhere around Jesus, and the blessing fell on them one way or the other. In other words, did she call the tattoo shop and asked the tattoo shop, hey, I done spent a lot of money. She put money in the tattoo shop. I spent a lot of money in this tattoo shop. My baby is hungry. I bet you she didn't. Call.
Yes, because the tattoo shop does not sit as a pinnacle of the community. At its core, Christianity and many other faiths like Christianity, but Christianity in particular, places an unequivocal burden on religious institutions to extend compassion and material support to those in desperate need. To sit up here and say because she has tattoos and she spends money at a tattoo parlor means that she should go to the tattoo parlor to get help undermines fundamentally what it means to be a Christian and the institution of Christianity and the church. It is absolutely diabolical and absurd that anyone would be sitting up here speaking the way that this lady is speaking in response to a test.
A bunch of those tattoo shops that she supported and see how much they going to give back. The point I'm trying to make is simply this. No, y'all ain't obligated because y'all do not like the church. Y'all ain't obligated. Y'all is not given to the church. Y'all ain't obligated because y'all don't even like church people. Y'all only.
So let me get this right. If I don't give to the church and if I don't like church people, are you saying that the church should not help me if I am in need? Are you saying only those who give to the church should be receiving from the church? Is the church some kind of a bank where you put money in and wait for you to need help to get money out of it? Is that what you think it means to be a Christian and be a part of the church? If you're upset that the institution you love and adore and are a part of failed a test, it is okay to reflect on that failure and see how you can be better, even if not for the individual who tested you because they did not, in fact, need it, but for the community. And also, what does it look like to be a Christian in the situation that you find yourself in? Does it look like yelling at the screen and dragging this person, telling them that they should go to the parlor, the tattoo parlor shop where they got their tattoos done to get help? Or is it that the church should be helping people, particularly if they want to touch people's heart and convert them into Christians? It is insane to me that you would sit up here and do something like this.
Speak bad of the church. So why, if when you in need, you want to go to the church? Now, the money that's in that church is for the church people. I don't give a nah. Let me, you know what? Let me do right. It ain't just for.
The money that is in the church is, well, she just said, "No, let me do right." Okay, so I understand and I appreciate you catching yourself that your ego got the best of you, and now you have to reflect on what you just said and correct it. So I will give you the opportunity to correct it and then address whatever you say after the correction and not before.
For the church people. It's not just for the church people, but hell, y'all, why is y'all bothering the church? Go to the businesses that y'all support. Go to the businesses and call them up. Y'all ain't gonna do that because that ain't controversial. It ain't controversial. As far as I'm concerned, this lady's doing this video. Y'all don't know how many people are saying yes. And if you ain't putting in the church, you don't like the church, you don't like the pastor, you don't like the church people, God damn it, don't call the church. Go call the club. Go call your whatever. Call.
Okay, so she catches herself in the middle of one of the most degenerate statements, recognize that it was degenerate, that the spirit of Christianity should be, though it's not, should be to help those in need. When those in need come, you realize you can say, oh, wait, no, the money in the church is only for the people in the church. You realize you can't do that and you should not do that, specifically when you need to go out and get people to come to church and change people's heart. You realize you couldn't say that. You correct yourself in the moment, and without skipping a beat, you went back to the same disgusting, degenerate rhetoric that you could find. This, by the way, is the problem. The lady failing to get help from churches, some churches, is not generally applicable to the rest of the church and Christianity more broadly. It's just not. If you think it is, then you're projecting based on your own feelings and your own biases. It is not generalizable. It's not statistically significant. You can use it, however, to address those specific church. However, the response of these Christians, I'm doing quotation marks, but you can't see me. The response of these Christians are a problem. The response says they are a problem because it's highlighting a very mean and evil and vindictive and self-centered and self-serving spirit that does not make sense to come from people who proclaim so loudly to be Christians. In defense of the church, you cannot be putting down people. In defense of the church, you cannot be telling people to look outside of the church for help. You cannot tell people to look outside of the church for help. As someone who pays tax and cares about the governmental institution, there are a lot of ways around arguing pro going to church for baby formulas. But as a Christian, you don't get to do that. You don't get to tell people to go to the club and go to the tattoo shops and go to the bars or whatever you're telling this lady to do. You, as a Christian, do not get to tell people to do that when the institution of the church is specifically there at its core, not tangentially, not a part of the model. At its core, Christianity tells us that it is a place that is unequivocally about compassion and providing material support to people. Point blank, period. So this is degenerate. It is. Now, we'll move from her and we'll go to one more person and then we will go to the pastor because I don't want this to be too long.
To see if they would donate to a hypothetical baby in a hypothetical situation of them starving and getting a hypothetical answer is some way operating in the spirit of deception. And before you ask, no, my church is not one of the ones that she called. So my opinion is straightly my opinion and what I'm feeling spiritually. It's already hard enough to get people to go to church. You know, this is a generation that believes that you do not have to go to church to have a relationship with God. And while that is true, you can have a relationship with God outside of church. You have to be under a shepherd, under a pastor, connected to other disciples who will hold you accountable and be under some sort of leadership. And you're not going to get that at your house. So here you are.
Yeah, I don't know what she's talking about. This sounds like male worship over and over again. When they're talking about you need to be under a pastor, it sounds like male worship. Ain't nobody got time for this foolishness.
are posting videos about this hypothetical situation, and of course some churches are saying no, which I don't believe is right. Let me say that I don't believe that is right. It is the church's obligation to help anyone who is in need, but you posting it gives room for onlookers to post their opinions following that, and most of their opinions are not even coming from being upset about the situation. Most of them don't even like church to begin with. They don't like churches, and so here they are.
This is evil. This statement is evil. You should not post it or do the test, because doing so will give people who don't like the church ammunition to attack the church. No. The church saying no, the church failing their test is giving people ammunition to attack the church. You need to take responsibility for the action of the people that is a part of the group that you're a part of. Do not blame this woman, regardless if you want to call her whatever you want to call her. It is not her fault that those people in that church, when she called them, decided to tell her absolutely not, go somewhere else for that baby feed. I hear your child crying, I ain't gonna help. That is not on her, that is on them. It is not her responsibility to protect you and Christianity from being dragged publicly. And you also have to wonder why other people do not like Christianity. Why do they have so much to say about Christianity? That is us responsibility as people a part of the church. You don't get to push that aside. You don't get to hide behind. You can't put that out there because some people might use it to attack the church. Yes. And that is why the church has to take care to do its best to provide help when it can and be humble when they cannot.
Are having a place to now direct that hate, direct that, you know what I mean? They now have that with your platform because they're waiting for a minute, an aha moment, or just a reason to tear down the church because they have something within them that does not like the church. Mind you, this is going viral, so there's going to be a lot of churches that now see that, so now they're automatically going to say yes, and who knows if that's really their heart posture. And that's the problem with posting it for everyone to see it. Now,
I don't care about the church's heart posture. You need to be helping. If your heart posture is not to be helping and you're ashamed into helping, that's good enough for the people who actually need help that you are now helping. You and God can figure out whether or not your heart posture is right. That is not for us to determine. That is not her problem. It is not your problem, and it's not my problem. It is out of what this lady is doing is out of order. It is shaming someone into silence in order for her to feel better about the fact that the church isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And I'm speaking generally, knowing that what that young lady did in calling the church is not generalizable.
it's a big thing, and now it's become performative at some point. And that gets in the way of what if there's a real person that is actually in need, and now the church is going to be answering in who knows what type of way because they've seen this, which is going viral. And it's just like a lot of people that are in the comments wouldn't even help themselves, but yet they have something to say. And that stems from the fact that they just don't like the church to begin with. Again,
yes, there are people in the comments who are not Christian, who don't like the church, who would not help people. Completely fine. You, as a Christian, should be helping. The church should be helping. I'm confused as to why you are lost on this. I'm confused as to why you are making this video. I'm confused as to why you are addressing that woman instead of addressing your church. I am confused. Sitting up here talking about, oh, if you put this out there, you're going to give ammunition to attack the church. Absolutely not. Nobody care about giving ammunition to attack the church. No one. Because the church can protect itself. When you submit to the Most High, and if you believe in the Most High being the most powerful, all present, everywhere, all knowing, this does not bother you. You do the right thing, and then you do the next right thing. That's it. Shaming someone, even if she, and let's be clear. Give me a second. Let's go back to the screen by myself. Let's be clear. This lie this lady told about her child, it is wrong. I don't think this is how people should test the church. Now, we can talk about Abraham and God and the son and the sacrifice, and we all know that story, right? You are not God. On one hand, it underscores a kind of crisis of credibility. When the house of worship that you go to cannot help others, I think for all of us, we should second guess the credibility of that house, the heart of that church. I think that is a profound insight into those specific church that we got. And if you're a member of those churches, I think you should take a long, hard look at you, your position in that institution, and the institution itself. I think there is a way to question kind of ethically what it means to lie, create a fake baby crying in the background, and then invite this kind of deception into communication, right? I think calling that out is useful. I think calling that out is not wrong. I think calling that out points out that we should not be using deception in order to get our end goal, right? And I don't think this is a good idea as a general matter. I don't think the test is proper. I think it's wonky, and without the kind of background, I'm going to use research methodology, but we know it's not research. It's just a very brief social experiment. And so I don't want to be too hard on the individual making the call. But anyone with a brain recognize that you cannot take this far insofar as what you can say about Christianity based on this kind of call. To say anything about Christianity more broadly is to project onto what this lady did all of your own biases and confirming what you've always believed, right? This on its own does not give us enough information to make any general statements, right? And it also reeks again of the kind of deception that we should find slightly repulsive. That being said, I don't think she should be dragged for what she did. I think what she did was completely fine insofar as on a human level, it makes sense why someone would think this is useful, and it is useful for the individual churches that declined, and we should drag them churches and make them better. That is my personal view there, right? Okay, so I can understand the underlying feeling of discomfort that what this lady did was wrong. With you there, completely on board, but also those churches were absolutely wrong and out of order. And you don't get to escape accountability for the church by pointing to the woman and what she did. That I won't abide. That is insane to me.
And I'm not someone who gains in any way from someone going to church. My pockets aren't getting fatter. I'm not benefiting in any other way other than seeing souls be saved and be brought to Christ. And that right there is enough for me, because I wish that I had someone who did that for me younger, and I would have went through a whole lot of different things growing up. And so this is just something that really hurts my heart to see.
What should have hurt your heart to see was that these pastors did not care and how these pastors responded. And also, what should have hurt your heart was the fact that there are churches out here that aren't helping people who need help. That's what should have hurt your heart. I don't know why that didn't hurt your heart, but that is what should have hurt your heart. Now, for the main event. Now, this pastor from Louisiana found himself coming out and responding to the mess. He found himself talking and saying all kinds of foolishness. And I want us to play it. I want us to play a little bit of what he said, and we're going to talk about it. So here we go.
And I said, we in the middle of feeding people. How you going to do your little dirty deed? And you know, it's just the spirit of a witch. It's a witch. And my Bible says he do not allow that thing to live. So you have to watch when you fooling with God. I told him I had my scripture. I'm going to slip it in here this week. I didn't get a chance to share it out of Daniel chapter 5. What happened when you mess with the people of God? You taking your life into your own hand. Now, they might have a few little TikTok demons came up in here today. Please stay for the rest of the service. Please stay. But you will behave yourself. Because there's not one of them churches you're going to come and disrupt it. You know? And I say, we in the middle of...
This right here is why I decided that I would review this. This right here is evil. It is demonic. It is disgusting. It is degenerate. When your knee-jerk reaction is defensiveness, I understand it. I understand wanting to prioritize some sense of self-preservation in terms of the institution of the church and trying to separate yourself from the caller in a way that makes the caller the bad person. I understand the knee-jerk reaction. What I don't get is waiting, sitting with that, and then coming to church on Sunday and preaching that degenerate, disgusting mess. Call her a witch all you want. This was a moment for introspection, for the church to look at itself and look how it failed and how it did not perform in the way that God, insofar as you believe God, wanted you to be helpful and useful to the community, how you have failed as an institution, not to make her a demon and a witch, not to make her the enemy, and you guys, the good guys, fighting demons and witches, talking about do not suffer a witch to live. That kind of language being used in this way after your church has humiliated itself in its inability to provide for the needy is a problem. It is a you problem and not a her problem, regardless of what you think she is. There were theories about what she's done in the past, her tattoos, who she's in love with, her child. I don't care anything about that. At the end of the day, you did not know any of that when she called. And when she called and sounded like she needed help, the church did not provide that help. What you should do now is reflect on that failure and make sure that it does not happen again. This, for me, it's underscoring this kind of peril of unfiltered, like, pulpit, can I call it pulpit rage, in this new digital age where one pastor's words can tarnish a person and create this kind of toxicity instead of talking to the congregation about how they can be better community members and reflect what it means to be a Christian properly. You could have been preaching peace, care, community, responsibility. Again, introspection. Instead of fostering a dialogue, perhaps by acknowledging the experiment's valid provocation, reacting like this risk entrenching division. It exposes this kind of self centeredness, narcissism, unwillingness to self reflect, holier than thou approach that the church continues to take. And it is toxic, disgusting, degenerate, and very repulsive. Even if she was a witch, you, the church, have failed when confronted by a witch. And that is a fundamental problem with your religion. When churches like this one that are caught failing to embody their own preached values, instead of saying, I can be better and this is how I plan to be better, they attack other people instead of being better. This is the most predictable response that I could find. And it's also one of the most vile and disgusting and sad, actually, reaction that we could get, because what we see is an unwillingness to be better, do better, and provide more to the community. This is a willingness to just stay in that dusty, disgusting, degenerate shell and hide away without ever having to come face to face with the fact that these churches, a lot of them, but specifically the ones being called that told this woman no and then came back and stood on quote unquote dusty, disgusting business, it reflects that they're trash. It is. It does. That's what it reflects. This kind of willingness to evade accountability is not just about the institution. It bleeds into the individuals that are a part of the leadership of certain kinds of churches. And that's why certain people will never be held accountable, because they don't even know what that means to be accountable. They don't know what it means to reflect on bad behaviors and improve. All they know is that they're better than everyone else, and anyone who even tests the spirit to see what it's made of is deemed a witch and kicked to the curb, because these people don't ever have to reflect. And that's trash to me. As someone who is a baby Christian, as someone who is reflecting on my own experience in Christ, as someone who is trying my best to be a better person each day, seeing people respond this way is heartbreaking to me, because I know, or I hope, that we can do better. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is this. I saw someone named Prophetess Juanita, and she was collecting thousands of dollars for miracles or repentance or whatever it was that she. Let me play you this, and then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go after this.
Like you have never seen. Like you have never seen. $1,066 is nothing. You can get money back. Yes, Lord. He just said 5 more people are sitting here deciding, but you're not deciding about money, you're deciding about your future. You're not deciding about money, you're deciding about your future. He said, come now. This isn't about money, this is about your future.
It's literally about money.
I'm going to stop it there. She was having people paying for restoration. I don't got time to be looking any further into any of these. Look, when it comes to the church, you don't have to look far for reasons to drag the church. They give it to us. They serve up reasons why we shouldn't go to church, and why people hate the church, and why people have wounds from going to church. They serve it up on a silver platter. And so anytime you, as a part of a church, as the leader of a church, get an opportunity to reflect, maybe start reflecting, right, instead of attacking, because there are reasons why people are so upset with the church. Think about that before you come out here getting angry. Anyway, that was a Tuesday morning take. That was my Tuesday morning take. Go down in the comments and let me know yours. Now, from last week's video, let's read a comment. Remember last week's video, I talked about the bill initiated people. Anyway, someone commented and said, sorry, but you can't single out black men. Literally every ethnic group of men prefer non-black women over black women. The bigger question to be asked is why? No, the bigger question is to be asked is, why are you here? That's my question to you. Why are you here? If you're a black man sitting up there saying every group of men do not want black women, you don't even understand that every group of men like their own women. But a group of men who were conquered, you know what? I ain't gonna do the speech. Girl, good for you. Go like who you like. Get out of my comment section. Get off of my channel. This is not for you. It's not the time. I don't care. And none of the women here care about your opinion. So that's that on that. Have a wonderful night, ladies, and the gentlemen here that I like this one. You can just don't show back up here. Thank you. All right. And that's that on that. I'm going to go because I'm getting annoyed. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.